David Icke, in his book, And the Truth Shall Set You Free, talks about the, quote, photon belt. Keep in mind while we read this, that this information is 100% channeled information originally. None of it is real science, and we will see how wrong this theory is in a moment. He begins, underpinning these astrological events in this period is the photon belt. Many psychics and esoteric scientists, notice how he didn't say actual scientists or astronomers, are now agreed on the existence of a belt of highly charged energy, centered on the Pleiades star system, an estimated 500 light-years from the Earth. It is from here that much channeled information which feels right to me is purported to come. I believe that the Pleiades, maybe in our future, is a base for the positive extraterrestrial support we are being given at this time, and quite possibly the home of extraterrestrials who have abused the Earth and humanity too. Paul Otto Hesse claimed to have discovered a belt of immensely powerful energy which he termed the photon belt. According to estimates, it takes his solar system 24,000, some say 26,000 years to orbit the Pleiades, and the star reckoned to be at the center of the belt, figure 17, known as Alcyon. Again, there is much ancient legend across many cultures about this star. He continues, it would appear that we have reached the point when this solar system is entering the photon belt and its highly charged energy. The influence of the belt on the Earth began in the early 1960s and affected the thinking of many people, but it was as nothing compared to what will happen over the next 35 years. While it takes 2,000 years to pass fully through the belt, the biggest impact is when we first enter, and the vibrations and molecular structure of everything has to cope with the dramatically changing conditions. This will affect the thinking, behavior, and physical bodies of all life forms. He concludes by saying the effect of the photon belt is activating data stored in our consciousness and our physical bodies. He says knowledge is being unlocked from the cells, bones, and our DNA, which will eventually be restored to its 12-stranded potential. Now you can see that if this were true, it would be a great find to support the idea of a coming spiritual evolution that Icke and Alice Bailey and Michael Tsarian and all these spiritual entities are trying to get us to believe. But the problem is that all this science that these entities told us is not true. Even the basic math shows this to be impossible. Our solar system and that of Alcyon are both orbiting around the galactic center. It takes us about 226 million years to go around one time, and that's at 486,000 miles per hour. If our solar system was also orbiting around Alcyon while it was also revolving around the center of the galaxy, it would need to be going much faster than the speed in which we are currently moving. One scientist said it this way, the math doesn't work, he says. Alcyon is 400 light-years from Earth. If the Sun was orbiting Alcyon in 250,000 years, it would have to have an orbital speed of 3,142 kilometers a second, which is 14 times faster than the Sun is currently orbiting the galactic center. This would be readily apparent if it were so. Another way of expressing this is that if the Sun was orbiting Alcyon at the same speed as it goes around the galactic center, and if there were such a lesser orbit that it would probably be much slower, then it would take either 3.5 million years instead of 250,000 years, or Alcyon would have to be only 28 light-years from Earth instead of 400. Besides, our movement has been measured against the background of stars on numerous occasions, and scientists have found no trace of such an orbit. And this is only the beginning of this theory's problems. Alcyon and the Pleiades cluster are stars no more than 100 million years old, 1/40th the age of the Earth, much younger than our solar system. Alcyon would not even have been there when our Sun began such an orbit, and that in itself is a pretty persuasive argument against this theory. And the so-called anomaly in the Pleiades cluster is a nebula. It's made up of plasma and gas, not photons. Photons are light, and light doesn't gather in clouds like that. Nebulas are remnants of supernovas, and they diffuse over time, and therefore wouldn't even be expected to be there if we were orbiting it in a cycle of 26,000 years. The core of the Pleiades cluster is approximately 8 light-years across. The Sun, and with it the Earth, is moving away from Alcyon. This should be the final nail in the coffin of this theory.